delusion in the image of these beautiful women who were like, oh, Buddha, don't get enlightened, look, you know, come with us, kind of energies. And so he was assailed by desire. So profound. And I don't know, I wish I had it. I don't know if any of you have seen a recent book about the letters that Mother Teresa wrote that's been published. She actually asked them not to be published, but her son has decided that by publishing them, it will bring more good. And her letters are these heart-rendering descriptions of her own doubt, of not feeling God, of not feeling Christ, of feeling so alienated that she says, all I feel I am is living in darkness that is never ending. And you know, Christ, are you there? You know, are you really there? Is this whole thing just a figment of our imagination? So a woman who has done so much in the world, assailed by these energies of doubt, of habitual energies that we all live with as well. And she actually, in one of her final letters, says that she feels that by living with these dark forces, she was able to understand Christ more deeply. So each one of us inherits both this capacity to love and the forces of delusion, of hatred and ignorance. And the beauty of mindfulness is that it is the key that unlocks the door, because it allows us to acknowledge those dark forces clearly, and in acknowledging them, abandoning them. In fact, you know, there's just so much to say, especially to those of you who are new to the practice. And I just want to mention that there is actually something called the Eightfold Path, which is the path we're practicing. And in it, so just to say it, it is the right understanding, a right intention and thought, right livelihood, right speech, right action, and right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And right effort, the Buddha said, is to abandon what is unwholesome, to abandon these forces. And he said, I would not ask you to abandon these forces if by abandoning them it would bring you suffering. But I ask you to abandon them because by abandoning them, suffering comes to an end. And then he said, I ask you to cultivate love and the skillful qualities of mind. And I ask you to do that because by doing it, it ends suffering and brings peace and the liberation of the heart and mind. So really, essentially, in that link, in the Eightfold Path, he's saying there are these energies, these two energies, and the energies of envy, jealousy, greed, hatred, delusion, wrong view, confusion, in their nature, when they operate without awareness, can only bring suffering. That is their consequence. It is like if I decide to get up, I get up, I put my foot on the floor. If I decide to ring this bell, I ring it. The sound is the consequence of those actions. There is a direct consequence that comes from believing these habitual energies, and that is suffering. And the profound wounding of the earth and of our peoples, of our earth and of our peoples. That is what happens. And so he says we can abandon them, and we can abandon them by making right effort, by bringing in this energy, by focusing on our own process, and by being mindful, by seeing clearly what is happening in each moment. And then he says, and in that seeing or acknowledgement, and I don't mean visual seeing, I mean the non-conceptual, non-visual seeing, in that there is also this invitation to hold ourselves in love. Because another way to talk about this habitual energy is to say it is an energy that exists because there isn't love. And that when we bring mindfulness and love to ourselves in each moment, that habitual energy begins to die out. That's what the Buddha said when he said, abandon these energies and cultivate the skillful energies. He's saying that is the path of purification. And he's saying it is not a matter of conjecture. It is not something that's hit and miss. He's saying because of the law of karma, there is absolutely a consequence to all your efforts here tonight and through this last 1.5 days of the retreat. That the consequences of your efforts will never get lost. They will and can only build the purification of your heart and mind. They can only heal that tear in the fabric of your being. That's the law of this universe and the law of the mind. He's saying that's how come people, the great teachers that we've just named, and there's so many more, that's how come they've healed, is from understanding this law and having faith in it. And so as I sometimes lie in bed and find myself in, deeply triggered places, and, and I watch because, just to name it, that when we go through trauma, the defense as a kid is to turn against ourselves in judgment, shame and blame and self-hatred. And so when I watch those self-hating voices come up inside of me, and it's so seductive to believe them because I've had them so many times, it feels like they're true. And this deeper calling from the great teachers in our world and also from our hearts call us to take a stand of love and to say, hi honey, I'm here for you. Self-hatred, I'm here for you. I don't have to believe you. First step is seeing it. The second step, naming it, self-hatred. The third step, disentangling from the storyline that somehow by hating myself, I will relieve myself of suffering. And fourth, bringing the capacity to love. I am here for you. And I sometimes just say love, love, love. Or sometimes I say, I hold you in my arms of love. I hold you in my arms of love. I hold you in my arms of love. And that capacity to do that makes the difference between continuing our oppression and ending it. And that's our commitment, really, is to end oppression in its internalized form and in the structures around us. this practice of loving kindness